Thank you for joining us today as we discuss benefit corporations and B Corps in New Mexico. We're working with Joao Casali. He is a contractor with MBBA, the Minority Business Development Agency here in Albuquerque. He will be just kind of spearheading and leading this conversation as we discuss, how we can kind of enrich this community and make this a great landscape for more incredible B Corps such as some of yours. So Joao, would you like to introduce yourself and kind of discuss a little bit more about the work you do?
Sure. Thank you, Savannah. Hello, everyone. So my name is João Bernardo. I am Brazilian. I'm based in Rio de Janeiro. And I am co-founder of the B Corp called Ionica and the other B Corp, Nativa Brazil. And I work with Sistema B, and I'm in the board for many, many years. And yeah, B Corp's movement is, it's not just a work, it's a purpose of my life. So I'm very, very happy to connect with you all, and yeah, excited to share a little bit of what we've been doing and in the B Corps movement, but also how do we connect this work with the community of New Mexico and Albuquerque.
Awesome. And just a little bit of housekeeping as well, folks. We do have some people in person, but there was also an accident that did derail some of our attendees, and they're just stuck in traffic. I think everyone's doing well, but in case there's some noise on our side, that's maybe what's happening. But Joel, if you want to go ahead and start, take it away.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen then. Oh, I need to have the admin for sharing the screen, like a co-host or something like that.
She just changed it.
Oh yeah. Now I have it.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So now I'm in the presenting mode, and I'm ready to start.
We can minimize that little panel there on the side just so we can see the full screen better.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Sorry,
Okay.
just some stuff on our side. But we can see your screen and everything looks great.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm ready when you say.
We're ready for you.
Okay. It's just because I don't see anything.
I know, I apologize.
Yeah. No, that's right. Well, so Sustainability Pathway 2023. We are in March. You can see here the beautiful little flag of New Mexico, and you see the logo of Nativa. Nativa is a new story for me. So Nativa and Ionica are getting together, and Ionica it's becoming now a joint venture for Latin America. So yeah, I'm gonna share a little bit after all, but and also what Nativa does. All right. A little bit of context. We all know that our current economic system driven by business is creating significant negative impacts, and the global pandemic has led bare the inequities of the system. Across the globe, movement for racial justice are gaining momentum. During pandemics, the billionaires got even richer, 54%, and sparkling calls for wealth tax. So situation is getting worse. Now, the richest 26 people own as much wealth as 3.8 billion people in the world. The UN declared that we have 7 years, only 7 years, to prevent irreversible climate impacts. We're talking about the raise of global warming, the 1.5 Celsius degree that we need to keep it until 2030. But the situation is not showing a very significant positive change. But anyway, 30 million people are enslaved in forced labor. More than 80% of the world's original forests are gone. And every year, 1.3 billion tons of food are wasted, as some 2 billion people suffer from hunger and malnutrition. The Amazon had the worst indication of deforestation in the month of February, and we are already in the new government, but yeah, they still need to track down whatever was going on before. The war in Ukraine is, as you know, just forcing a lot of people to migrate. People across the globe are demanding change worldwide, in Brazil, in Chile, in Argentina, in Colombia. This is the Latin American perspective. And the business model that led us here are not the ones that will lead us in the future. So 50 years ago, Milton Friedman said that the purpose of doing business, of the business, is doing business. And that's pretty much what leads the narrative of the shareholder capitalism. And that's why everything about business and the inequity of business increased so much, especially in the past 50 years. So now we are making this transition to the stakeholder capitalism, the stakeholder economy, where instead of only providing and generating benefits for the shareholders of the company, the idea is to generate value for everyone in the chain: suppliers, customers, the environment, and society, and so on. So capitalism is making a reset, and business must make a profit, but it should serve a purpose as well. It should generate environment and social positive impact. The moment now is crucial for change and for acceleration of change. I'm gonna skip the video for now, but we can go back later. So, and we have credibility to lead like never before. The Harvard Business Review, there's an article saying that the benefit enterprise, this new model of business, of company, is actually the fourth sector of the economy, and it's emerging and it's gaining power to transform the course of capitalism. So our vision in B-Lab and in Sistema B is to create an economy that is inclusive, equitable, and regenerative. And the system, this economic system, works for everyone, not just for a few. 11 years ago, Sistema B became partner of B-Lab, and there are 14 countries that are represented under Sistema B management and administration. So Sistema B is the representation of B-Lab in Latin America, for those who don't know it, and it's where I work. But also there are other 5 continents that are represented by the B-Lab Global Network, and especially in Europe, that was funded together with Sistema B in Latin America, but also Africa and Asia, and Australia, New Zealand, like Oceania is pretty much growing a lot, the movement right now. And our work is to generate systemic change using interventions such as behavior of business and its impact on all stakeholders, norms of business and the cultural expectations about the role of business in society, legal frameworks and policies that structure business role in the economy. So with that, we designed a theory of change 3 years ago, and we came up with 5 main strategies that pretty much sustain the B-Lab global network work in scale now. And these are the 5. So I'm gonna present a little bit of each one for you. So the first one, our first global strategy is to driving the adoption of B-Lab standards to manage the impact of business. So here we are talking about impact management. It's not certification, but how to help business to measure their impact. And that can happen in different ways, right? So the impact management tool is being used for over 200,000 companies already, the BIA, and there are over 200 partnerships for that. And as you know, the tool, the BIA tool is free, it's online and free, but also there are some programs that the B-Lab, Sistema B, and some B Corps, consultancy B Corps help other companies to measure their impact, and that can be a service. So one of the ways that we do that is through the program of the B Movement Builders. So the B Movement Builders was a program that was created 3 years ago and then was launched in 2020. And it's about getting business, large business, very, very large business that have revenue over $5 billion. And to help this business, they're big and are not so close for certification, to join a program of at least 2 years to help this business to get the best practice of impact. And in this first launch, we had 6 business, and we had Natura and Danone as mentors, as they are very large B Corps and they have the experience. So this program is still running, this first cycle, and it doesn't aim the certification, but it helps large business to become better for the world, to integrate best practice, but without necessarily going for certification. Another example is this project that is being done by Nativa in Italy. So SME is an association, is one of the largest federations of textiles in Italy, and you know how fashion is important in Italy. So this, in partnership with the Federation of Textile in Italy, 6 companies were selected to become the first pilot, the group that started to measure their impact. The idea was to define the best practice of sustainability performance in the textile sector, but also to disseminate regeneration principles in the textile districts in Italy. So this process happened for around 6 months in the first 2 quarters for mapping, selecting this business, and then in the last 6 months the measurement happened, and then after measuring individually each of the companies, there was a handbook that was created for the sector, and now new waves of companies are joining with the experience and all the learning that Nativa had together with the association. So this is how you measure companies, you measure business using our BIA tool, but without necessarily going for certification. Second global strategy, certifying and engaging business to improve impact. So now we are talking about our certification. So we have now it's actually over 6,460 companies last time that I checked, over 150 industries, over 80 countries with one unified goal. So these are some of the companies in Latin America. They are certified. You can see some public trade companies here, like Danone that you have in the US, Conchitoro, which is a huge wine company. Reserva is a huge Brazilian fashion brand. Patros is also very big in Brazil. And yeah, some other companies that you might don't know. Here, there are some of the Americans ones, some of the global ones. So we transfer the Body Shop, Toms, and Patagonia, obviously, 7th Generation, Natura, Trio dos Bank, and yeah, some of these companies that you already know. I'm gonna get back to the certification point in the end, like answering questions as well, because I think it's worth to go through the journey. But the third global strategy, it's about storytelling. It's about creating narratives, narratives to tell stories and to do the environmental and education, right? So raise awareness. So B-Lab and Sistema B are partners with different organizations, and there is this coalition, this project called Imperative 21, and these are the founding partners. So this is one example of how you create a storytelling to broadcast. So this is the campaign that was ran 2 years ago. So it's time to reset, and then lots of arts were created by different artists that were pretty much selected with their arts in a crowdsourcing call invitation, like a challenge. And like you could see like arts someone just got in. And like, for example, minimal living wage, but decent living wage, exclusive to inclusive, neglect to respect, and some other pieces. But also in front of NASDAQ in New York, there was this video that was shown with the campaign telling the story that we need to change, that capitalism was over, or the way that we know capitalism, and telling the story of Milton Friedman that I told you in the beginning, and how we need to transition to an economy that works for all. This was very successful. This is one example. Another example was the rapid response in newspapers that happened in different countries with the support of many country partners of the B Corps movement. So not sure if you know who is the Business Roundtable CEOs, but they get together every year to discuss what's like G20 or G7, they discuss the reality of the market and business and investment and their sectors every year. So 3 years ago, now 4 in August, they made that statement saying that they share a fundamental commitment to all of their stakeholders, and the stakeholders are essential. We commit to deliver value to all of them. So basically saying that they are committing to the stakeholder economy and not only shareholder. So when they said that, and here are some of the CEOs that really big companies, really big figures here, like Jeffrey Bezos and Tim Cook, for example. And then as the B Corps movement, we publish in many different newspapers in different language a response to that saying, okay, so if you're really saying that, let's get to work, let's get it done. We don't have enough time, it's urgent, and we need to redesign the economic system to make sure that it's working for everyone. So this was pretty cool. Storytelling. This one is another example, a global campaign of the B Corps month. We are now in the B Corps month of 2023 because it's always March. So you're probably gonna see different country partners, B Lab and B Corps showing a different publicity, and it's every year there's something different and innovate about it, and it's pretty cool. Really raise awareness for the people, the consumers that still don't understand what is the B Corps movement and how they can benefit, they can just buy better products in the markets, in the supermarkets, in the shops, and so on. So this is our fourth global strategy: accelerate policy change to ensure business is a force for good. Here we're talking about advocacy mostly, and our main work is to, as you know, to approve the benefit corporation legislation everywhere in the world or in the countries that are possible that democracy is working. But also we do other type of advocacy related to positive impacts, like, for example, the one in Mendoza in Argentina. There was approved a legislation that is triple positive impact procurement. So the companies in Mendoza, if they prove to be an impact company, that they measure and report their impact with the BIA tool or other tool that measure, they can have preference on procurement, and that's pretty cool. So this is one example. Here is the countries that have the legislation now. So United States, not federal, but some states started with the approval of the law. And then the first country that really approved was Italy. And there's this little story here. And then Puerto Rico and Colombia were the first ones in Latin America, let's say. And then we have Ecuador, and we have all of these countries now. It's over 10 that already have specific legislations, and it's growing and growing. So the story of Italy. So Nativa, being the country partner of the lab in Italy, they actually led this advocacy process in Italy. What they did was they went to register their bylaws asking to become a società benefit, and it was rejected because they didn't understand what kind of law was that, right? So then this is Eric and Paulo, my new partners, together with the Senator Mauro Del Barba. They wrote the act, the legislation, in Italian, with the inspiration of the ones in the US. And yeah, there you go. The Article 1st law about società benefit, which is pretty much the same text that was written for the ones in the states in the US. And these are the three basic elements that define what is a benefit corporation. So you need to commit high standards to purpose, accountability, and transparency. I can share all of that, the slides with you, so you can have it like the whole text. But basically, that's how they got it approved in Italy with the senator. This senator was the one that led the process in Congress, and they got it. And now in Italy, after 7 years, they have over 2,000 società benefit corporations. So imagine if the same happened in New Mexico that has the approval of the legislation 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, right now that we are in 2023. So, and the last one, collective action. It's how B-Lab supports innovation along the big global network. A lot of different professionals just create groups and campaigns and coalitions and to raise awareness about the B Corps movement, about impact business, and so on. So there are different types of collective action. This was a campaign that was ran in Chile, a challenge asking companies to sign if they had maximum 10 times the difference of salary between the CEO and the one that get the most in the company. So you see that a lot of companies sign it over 1,500. This is very interesting to make challenges and campaigns about different questions that we have in the BIA. This is only one of the questions. Imagine if we make it for all, we could have like 5 years of campaigns. This is another one, Let's Get to Zero. So the Net Zero campaign. This is, it's a partnership with the United Nations, and already over 700 companies committed to become net zero by 2030. Scope 3 as well, which is not normal. Usually the large companies do Scope 3 for 2040, 2045, 2050. But in this campaign here, we are talking about becoming carbon neutral globally, let's say, in all the scopes possible. And in over 33 countries represented, and yeah, and 50% of them committed to become carbon neutral by COP26 that happened in Glasgow. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a campaign that's still running, and it's gonna be ran until 2030 because there's a huge partnership with the United Nations, the UN Global Compact with that. So another examples of collective actions that are running, Cities Can Be, Academia B, Comunidade B, we can see here. So Cities Can Be, it's something that it's very interesting also for New Mexico. This project was Rio Mais B, Rio Can Be was the first one of the type. We did it in 2016 in Rio, and we invited over 40 companies we selected over 40 countries to become part of this impact lab, where we help these companies to measure their impact. And through these results, the idea is getting together to solve to design solutions to solve challenges of the territory. So the companies, they kind of went pretty much by themselves with different solutions and collabs, but the idea is to rescue a second edition of Rio Mais B to make another round. After Rio, lots of other Cities Can Be were created, like in Mendoza, like in Santiago, Rosario. Now it's happening in Barcelona, it's happening in São Paulo, and this could be interesting for New Mexico, for Albuquerque. This one you know very well. So this is one example of Academia B. So the UNM, through the Anderson School of Management, Wellington, Alice, and they created this clinic, this B Corp clinic, the Business for Good clinic, and they're helping also companies of the territory to become better, and they're helping in many ways, like they're co-creating here with us what could be business as a force for good in New Mexico, and I'm pretty sure they're helping the Be Locals that you guys are getting together as well. So this is one example of a Be Local that we call Comunidade B. This is in Rio. We used to meet every 15 days for a long time. We started in 2015, but to get there, we were already discussing 2014, and this was the first Be Local. And so you see many different companies here, and including the executive director at the time of Sistema B is seated. So it was something very interesting, very important that helped us to catalyze the B Corps movement in the state of Rio. So this is another way of collective action, Consultores Mais B. This is actually a course that is ran by Sistema B Argentina together with two B Corps, Empreendia, and the other one that I don't really remember. I think it's just Empreendia with Sistema B Argentina. And basically this is a course to help, and there's one open actually right now. They're getting registration to help people to become consultants. Consultants for what? Consultants to help companies to become better and to go for certification and so on. So B multipliers, this is another way. This is actually it's also open for registration in Brazil. It's pretty successful in Brazil. Every year we do one edition, and guess what? 100 people average are part of the course, and it takes around 3 to 4 months. It's online, so you can see the picture here with the last edition, a lot of people on the screen. And basically, a multiplicador B, a B multiplier, don't actually give consultancy to companies, but they are kind of like ambassadors of the movement, and they are usually, they don't have a company, they are not business people, but they do have the love for changing the economic system through business and these powerful tools. So yeah, this is another one. So not sure if you've seen that. GALE, the Global Alliance of Impact Lawyers. GALE is actually a recent network that was created globally 3 years ago. But before that, in many places in Brazil, in different countries, there was a group called Lawyers B, or B Lawyers, or Abogados Mais B, or something like that. And this group of lawyers used to help the country partners of B Lab, of the B Corps movement, with research and legislation about impact business, right? Because it's very new for us. So also is very new for the legislation, for the law. So these different groups of lawyers, they, after a lot of discussion, conversation, dialogues, they decided to get together in a global network that is called GALE. So if you need a lawyer that really understand what is impact business, what is B Corps, GALE is the right network to find. And you're gonna find individual lawyers, and you're gonna find a lot of law offices as well, all over the world. Right. Maybe I'll stop share now just a little bit to get questions.
And Joel, we have some additional folks in the room. If you want to go ahead and reintroduce yourself, and then we'll see if there's any questions in the room or in the chat.
All right. Hello. My name is João Bernardo. I am from Brazil. I'm based in Rio, and I am founder of a B Corp called Ionica, and now Nativa Brazil. And I'm also in the board of Sistema B. So, hello. I cannot see you. It's kind of weird actually, but
We can turn it on.
but you can see me.
Can you see us now? A happy room?
Oh, yeah. Now I can see the screen. Okay, yeah. So any questions?
I'll go ahead and start with an initial one. So out of the 5 kind of different ways that we're broadening the reach of B Corp, you've been to New Mexico a few times, especially with a state like ours that is, you know, a very big divide between rural folks and folks sort of in our metro area. What's the best way, or what are your suggestions to sort of raise awareness of the, sorry, I realize I'm not in the camera. I'll sit here. Raise awareness for folks, business owners here in our state, to kind of increase their impact and contribute to all these efforts that you've outlined for us in today's presentation.
Yeah, good question. There are many ways, and I showed some of them, and I really like the idea of building momentum with these business labs. I think I share some of them with you, like creating, for example, New Mexico can be, or creating a partnership with one specific association or federation of one type of sector of business. Like, for example, in New Mexico, maybe the movies sector, which is pretty interesting now economically, or aerospatial, or food and tourism, or, you know, and then you work towards the improvement of practice of this one specific sector, in partnership with the association, the federation. They already manage this network. I really believe in that kind of approach. But if it's not one specific sector, like I said, could be one, New Mexico can be. So we can select different topics that are the most important for the territory at the moment. And I think not just the city of Albuquerque, but also the ecosystem of associations of business can really give us some good data to understand what's the best one to choose as a pilot, right? I think this is one way to go. The other way to go is to create campaigns, right? Like narrative storytelling. And I think a partnership with the city or the state to make sure that the business understand they can become benefit corporation, because the legislation is there, it's approved, and what the benefit of that. So that will be very interesting to promote a campaign with that, because most of the business still don't know that they can change, like they can integrate this legal status of benefit corporation. Yeah, but mostly really depends on the co-leaders of the coalition, like the people that are in the room now, and what we are aiming for the first pilot. How do you start? And also depends on funds, right? To promote a project like that, you need to raise some funds, and you need a team. So sometimes you have funds they are available for the food industry, and you don't have it for the aerospatial industry right now. So sometimes you feel what's emerging in the territory as well, right? You don't go against the wave, but you surf towards what's available, what's possible. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I agree with you there too. And I know that we have some energy partners here as well, and some folks that are from benefit corporations that aren't established in New Mexico. So we have a very good range of folks. Do we have any other questions in the room or in the chat? I have a question. I'm curious to know what you think about the interplay between, registering as a B Corp and registering as a benefit corporation, and where those align and where they maybe don't necessarily align.
Sorry, I didn't hear a question. Can you repeat, Savannah? I think you were closer to the audio. Yeah.
I can, yes. So the question was sort of the difference between becoming a formally authorized B Corp entity versus registering as a benefit corporation. And I can speak to that a little bit. Just as like the legal designation, we do have the legislation in New Mexico that permits us to form businesses as benefit corporations as of 2020. But that doesn't automatically put you in the B Corp ecosystem. That is a third-party registration process. But sorry for taking all of that.
No, please. That's the idea. Like, yeah, we are distributing the knowledge of B Corps. But did she get the answer? Is she satisfied?
Well, and maybe to kind of add to that, what are the differences and the strengths of being a benefit corporation versus, what are the added benefits of being a B Corp? That kind of
Right. So, yeah, the B Corp certification is a journey that never stops. So when the process of measuring your impact to become to be able to get your certification, you need to achieve at least 80 points after answering all the questions and going through an audit and showing with evidence that you have the question and it's all true, right? So there's a whole due diligence process about that. And if you are over 80 points, you get the certification. But the next year, the idea is for you to keep improving. Every 3 years, you need to recertify. So we talk about an evolution path, right? Towards a regenerative paradigm. So the idea is not just getting a certification, but making sure that your business are getting better for the world year after year, and you're improving practice year after year. And actually our assessment is getting more difficult all the time. So we are always improving our assessment to make sure that the conditions and the requirements are raising the bar all the time, right? So we are in the 7th edition of the impact assessment questionnaire already. So it really improved a lot. So, and the benefit corporation status, it's something that you can do it quicker, right? Because it's something that you can change your status, the status of your company or registration, and include in your bylaws the clauses that of interdependence that need to be included of the benefit corporation. So one process is way easier than the other, for sure. But when you declare that you are a benefit corporation, you're actually telling the world that your business is not here to be a traditional business. You're actually committing, saying that you were born or you're transition to a business that is willing to generate positive impact for all the stakeholders, right? And this is a very positive thing because it gives fiduciary duty of keeping the track on the law. But in the B Corp certification, it's something that it's not related to law at all. It's about the impact journey of your company. It's what you are reporting in your website. It's the actions that you are taking of everything that you do in your company. And it's how you're gonna be perceived from your consumers, from your clients, from your investors, and so on. So is that clear?
Cool. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
You can be both. In New Mexico, you can be both, for example.
I might add, this is Mike Silva. Hi.
Hello,
Nice seeing you again.
nice to see you, Mike.
It's very similar to some businesses that are trying to attain excellence by using the National Baldrige Awards, the criteria for performance excellence to show that they are an excellent performing company. It's a self-assessment. It's a self-assessment that you ask questions in the 7 categories of the Baldrige that you self-assess, and then if you attain a high enough score, then you are site visited to make sure that everything is in place and has everything that you do. Also, I think a lot of businesses use the ISO process, Indian International Standards Organization, to certify themselves, and then they get audited if you have some good quality practices are in place. They need to be audited to make sure that it's repeatable. So this is in a similar vein, I believe, of self-assessment and trying to attain a higher level of excellence by using the criteria of the B Corp, if I understand correctly. So I just want to show there are some similarities from the business community.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having issue to hear you guys like in the back, but I understood some points, and I think you said something about like to get the score and to use it in benefits of benchmarking with other businesses. Is that it?
That's part of it, absolutely. Benchmarking, having a self-assessment, that allows you to improve on an annual basis. So you receive, with the Baldrige process, you do a self-assessment, you're scored, and the state of New Mexico has a 3-tiered award process, and you improve through that self-assessment when you get a higher score every time you self-assess. So the B Corp itself has a self-assessment every 3 years. So you have to recertify every 3 years to show that you are making improvements. So I'm just pointing out that there are similarities in business, in the U.S. business, well, global marketplace around the quality practices.
Yes, precisely. Yes, very good. I think the one way to make the distinction between those two is I always think that when you're becoming a benefit corporation, you're committing to something. You're committing to have this legislation, to have the legal status, to have the fiduciary duty to be a company that is better. But when you are using the BIA, you're talking about measurement. So there is a distinction between commitment and measuring, because if you keep measuring your impact for life, it's a way of you showing to the world that you are not green, this is not greenwashing, that you're actually doing this practice, that you're becoming better, that you're improving year after year. And yes, and with the score, with the benchmarking, like Mike was saying, it's a very easy way of business intelligence to show everyone, all the stakeholders, what's your status, where you are with that, right? Well, what's your score?
Well, as we kind of approach the last segment of your presentation, were there any other remaining slides that we have to go over, or can we use this last remaining time for questions? Oh, all right. Did you have any remaining slides as we get closer to the end of your presentation, or can we just use the last 4 minutes for questions that remain?
Yes, no, actually I do. I can show you how what's the narrative in Nativa and how we, but for some reason it's not showing the share. Okay, now it is. Share screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, just to finish. So you saw mostly the perspective of how B Lab and Country Partners promote the B Corp movement to the world, with a few examples of companies. But now you're gonna see how Nativa, a B Corp, help. What's the narrative and what's the approach to help business to evolve. So first of all, embrace radicality and evolution with flow. So we're talking about being radicals in the change here, helping companies to actually do whatever they can to integrate sustainable practice and to keep evolving in the journey. And there is this historical cultural change in motion that we use in business, a positive force to create a fair and more inclusive society that regenerates the biosphere. We are reinventing business. And only when you're ready to redesign the way you do business can positive change become a reality. So the concept for Nativa of the redesign of business and why the BIA is being used to that is that we need to create more value than extract value. It's hard to find a definition of regeneration because everyone talks in different ways, like Daniel Wall, Kate Rayoff, and Mariana Mazzucato, and so on. But in terms of business, it's hard to say that a business is regenerative, right? I don't think we achieve that status, but the idea is to walk towards regenerative paradigms and to become a better business for the world. So, and what is regeneration? It's actually the regenesis, right? We're talking about creating life. We're talking about restoring vital functions of the system that we lost. So for us, we need to create more value than extract value. And when I talk about value, I'm talking about economic, social, and environment. So this is the little scheme that makes this distinction between these two, the benefit corporation and a certified B Corp. So we are talking about the benefit model. That's the fourth sector of the economy that I mentioned before. We actually are in the 2.5 sector, in between the for-profit and the not-for-profit. we are not the traditional business that only generates profit, right? Financially. But we are also not a not-for-profit that is only promoting services or of environmental education and so on, but we are in the 2.5, the benefit model. Here is the 5 areas of the BIA, and the idea is to, after measuring the impact, to do the assessment, you have the score, and this score is going to be provided by the tool, by the business intelligence tool, but also in Ativa, we provide the sustainability profile in a master plan. And what is that? So, like I said, if you get 80 points, you are actually changing from the extractive paradigm to the regenerative paradigm. But that doesn't mean that you are regenerative business, right? So, what is that? The sustainability profile or the impact profile is a way that we show which areas of the company needs to improve. So here you see Danone and Patagonia and Chiesi examples of how they're doing good in some of these areas, in clients, in governance, and mission engagement. And you can see that this impact profile is larger than the 5 areas of the impact assessment that you saw it before. So here you see 107 was the score that Patagonia got in 2011, when they had at the time $500 million in annual turnover, right? And 152 is the points that they have it in the last recertification. So look, after 8 years, how they improved in points, in score, like they keep becoming better for the world all the time. But they actually, after these 8 years, they improved their revenue, their net value as well. So it doesn't mean, this is a proof that shows that it doesn't mean that you are now generating environmental, social, positive impact, that you're going to become poorer. Quite the opposite. You actually, you generate more money as well. So obviously they are kind of like this unique brand that have a business to save the home planet as the business model that they do. So after we see this sustainability profile of each company, we designed this master plan for the companies that with a journey of about 3 years, and showing how they can evolve in 3 different waves. So you can see these 3 lines here. There's 1, 2, and 3 lines. This is a waves. So the idea here is to show the company and to deliver a whole master plan with this target profile, showing how the company can improve practices. So that's who we are. We are regenerative designers, and we help legacy leaders in achieving radical business evolution through human inspiration and powerful tools. Legacy leaders for us are the clients, the champions, the companies that are evolving in this path. And we are all potential legacy leaders. There are over 303 million of businesses in the world. Around 10% of businesses are in the US. And this is the data that I got from the Small Business Administration, but there are over 170,000 businesses in New Mexico. So what about you? What will be your legacy? There is many businesses that can evolve in this journey. So that's what I had for today. And thank you for your time. You are muted in the, yeah.
We clapped for you. Ethan.
I saw it, I saw it. Yeah, the intention is what is the best. Any other final question? I understood that you're gonna have a meeting to talk about the Be Local in Albuquerque, New Mexico now.
Yeah, so just after this, we'll be gathering in person. If anyone on the screen would like to join us, I'm happy to just grab you on the phone and have you kind of join our circle, so please let me know. But Joao, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge about benefit corporations and B Corps and sharing what the global impact can be of our small but mighty community here in New Mexico. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Savannah, for the invitation. Thank you all for your time. And just want to share one last thing, that I really believe that New Mexico can create business labs and a path, and a Be Local, and a path to help business to get better. And I think there was a lot of really interesting conversations last year when I was there, and after when I left as well. And I'm really happy that this conversation is continuing with you guys right now. And yeah, cities can be programs are created all the time, and business labs are created all the time. So I'll be happy to support you guys in the near future to make something happen, because in the end of the day, that's what we like to do, you know, do projects, make it happen. So yeah, thank you and have a good meeting. And I'm gonna share the presentation with Savannah, and I'm happy to take any questions after all, if you have, or do any connection.
Yeah, and if there's any remaining questions, I'll be sure to send them your way. But thank you again so much for your time, and I hope everyone on the screen has a great rest of your afternoon.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Well, thank you for joining.